So for tonight's class, I have got a brick, a block, and a bolster. But to begin with, I'm not really going to use any of them. I'm going to start with banana pose. So you want to make sure that your head at least is going to be on the mat, so it's a little bit more comfortable. You can't really put blocks underneath your head for this one, but you can use a blanket if it's rolled up a couple of times. You just want to lengthen out through the legs and have them together. And then have a little stretchy of your arms overhead. Traditionally, we would suggest holding on to your wrist, but to be honest, you could hold on to a thumb if that felt more comfortable, gave your shoulders a bit more of an opening. We're taking a few sort of stretches into the shoulders, sort of lifting them off of the floor and then letting them go back, almost like I'm doing half a circle in a slightly weird way. And then I'm going to take a little breath and start to move the shoulders over towards my right side. So I'm taking a side bend. I want to get your shoulders relaxed and flat to the floor. I want to make sure the hips don't roll over and follow me. You want to get the back of the pelvis flat to the ground. When you've moved your shoulders as far as you comfortably want to, you can move the legs over to the same side to the right and have the feet together. And some people like to cross the left leg over at the ankle. I tend not to because I find it pulls a little bit more on my sciatic nerve than I would like. And it's something that I know in my body I have to look after and treat with a great deal of respect. And if I do that, then I can get through and enjoy all of the other styles of yoga that I practice. And my back feels successful during the day, so I can go about my daily business as well, off of the mat in comfort. If I push it too hard, if I get too enthusiastic, a little bit over competitive with myself, or I don't really listen to my body, and it can all go a little bit wrong quite quickly. So really, this is what yoga is about. We're trying to learn about our own personal boundaries and respect the fact that every time we come to the mat, we endeavor to reinvestigate how we feel, not taking anything for granted, that we will or won't be able to get into our posture, and settling ourselves mentally and physically into the postures and being happy to do what we can. This time of year, obviously, we start thinking about gratitude a little bit more as we roll into Christmas. And we don't have to be so gratitude about the big things or be concerned necessarily about them. Sometimes just taking a bit of happiness from the small, simple things can be enough. I'm going to start to wriggle gently back towards the center line. I'll take my legs back first, and then I can lift my shoulders back to where I think the center line is. And I tend to grip over with thumbs and wrists, etc., whatever you're holding on to. And then we're going to take the shoulders out, that comfortable distance into the side bend, and let them relax in a little bit. Pull my hips out. And then once I start to feel a little bit more familiar, comfortable, I can move the legs over as well. You'll notice that I take a fair bit of time, a good sort of 20, 30 seconds to evaluate how the side bend feels. And I can, to some degree, calibrate how far I want to move my legs across. I'll have an idea of where I'll be able to get to. Take a little breath from there and start to come back out. So I'm going to bring the legs back in like I did last time. Bring the body along and allow myself to just roll the spine out gently. Now we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So I'm actually going to change ends, mostly so I can look at the clock in the pose. Otherwise I'll be the wrong way around. But if your video device, screen, etc., allows you to be at the same end where you could just roll over onto your belly, that will be fine as well. We'll take the feet out wide as the mat, into just using the toes to find that. And then elbows underneath the shoulders. I'm going to just interlace the fingers very lightly and then let the body sink in. So really relaxing the shoulders. Head can drop down, it's your choice. That feels comfortable. Softening out the belly. Now I tend to put a little bit of sort of wriggling and wiggling, very small. Might be too subtle for it to be seen on the video. But just sort of letting myself sink into the joint. So the shoulders are lifting up around my ears because my chest is actually sinking. My belly is getting softer. Lower back is getting very relaxed. That's starting to move down into the glutes. So the buttocks are starting to feel very much more relaxed. That's moving into the back of the legs and then to the thighs. I'm fortunate enough to be able to rest my kneecap on the ground with comfort and my feet bootlaces down as well. Okay, so move from there to half frog pose. So actually let the elbows move out to the side so the chin can come down. You can have your skin on the back of the hands or you can have your forehead on the back of your hands, really use your choice. But we'll take a little breath in. Once we're in position, feet together, and then take the right knee out to the side, 90 degrees to the body. You don't really need to look, you can kind of feel that 90 degrees, just check you're happy with it. And then have your foot, or rather your shin and calf, run parallel to the mat. You got 90 degrees out to the side and then 90-degree bend in the knee, so your toes are hopefully pointing out to the right side. It'd be nice to turn your head in that direction as well. And again, you might find that once you've been here sort of 20, 30 seconds that your ribs start to relax a little bit. Sink a bit more into the floor and your shoulders are easier to sort of move around and find the right place for you. Gently turn the head back to the center line and slide that leg out, lifting you from the ground if possible, out towards the end of the mat. Little shake out, and then take the opposite leg out, and enough to the opposite side. Those back, legs on the floor, little shake out. I'm going to roll back onto my spine. Cat's tail. It's slightly complicated. I think what I'll do is I'll start rolling to my right side to see if I can show you what we need to do. So I'm going to start with my back flat to the floor. I'm going to turn the hips over towards the right side, and I'm going to draw my left leg over towards the right side. And ideally, I want a foot or a knee touching the ground and shoulders flat to the floor. If you're not able to do that, you're going to take the bolster and put that underneath the shin and the ankle of your left leg. Also, I'm going to take a breath and slowly bend the knee of the bottom leg. And it's important that that knee is following the line of your spine down the mat rather than being pushed forward. So you're going to drop your left hand behind. See if you can find your toe. So you're going to hold yourself into this little bit of a twist. But you want to try to be as soft as you can. So again, this is one of those ones that work well with a pillow underneath the back of the head or push or a blanket. And I want to try and let the muscles relax as much as you can. It can be a challenge, but don't be afraid to use these bolsters. And then we'll release. Roll the legs back over. Bit of a bend in the knees. So I'm not worrying about the feet being too close in at this stage. Let's start to turn the hips over, adjusting them a little bit behind, over to the left this time. Trying to keep the shoulders flat to the floor. And as soon as I can get the foot, if not the knee, onto the ground, and then I'm just going to walk that bottom leg back using my toes. Little lift, find my toes, so I can roll back down. And some people like to take the sort of spare arm, if I can put it that way, directly out to the side, 90 degrees to the body. Some people find that useful. And again, you want to sort of move into this very gently. Oh, I can release them there as well. Carefully untangling myself. Going back to a more neutral position for the body. Take a roll over to the right side. The next posture we need is a seated posture. So hands underneath, rolling out, and back up. Again, I'm going to swing the feet around to the opposite end of the mat. And butterfly pose. So I'm going to just wriggle into the front end of the sitting bones and bring the soles of the feet a comfortable distance towards me. So I don't want them in really tight like I would in Baddha Konasana. But it is the framework of the same posture. I want to, let's say, comfortably have the soles of the feet touching. A little wriggle forward with a rock side to side for a moment or two. And then I'm going to let myself just sink over slowly. So not taking any weight into the legs with the arms directly. They're sort of sitting out here for balance reasons. Some people like their elbows coming on inside the legs. Some people like to sort of hook them around the outside. That might be more to do with your position of your legs and the length of your spine and things, how big your arms are, in terms of how long they are. A bit long-limbed, you might want to sort of go forwards a bit more with things. So any rocking you do once you're in position, you want to do very gently. And then we'll just settle in, letting the head hang. You want to try and let that head hang as heavily as we can. We'll carefully move up by just bringing the hands underneath and bringing ourselves all the way back up. Not for long, as we can take the bolster underneath the back of the leg, and this time the legs would be narrow, I think, like about hip distance apart. And I want to use the bolster, the heels are on the floor, get up nice and tall, and then I'm going to fold over and let the hands reach out to a comfortable distance, letting the head hang. Now, if you feel comfortable enough to come into this without taking anything under the back of your legs, that's fine. You could, again, use a rolled up blanket, so it's a bit smaller than the bolster. The bolster is pretty bulky, to be honest, for this, but it serves its purpose very well for me. I'm able to sink very low and let the leg muscles completely relax. My feet tend to roll out a little bit to the side edges when I'm in this position. So very different type of forward fold that we would find in a hatha class. And we'll start to use the hands to lift back up again. And taking it very slowly. And going to take the feet out wide, roll in the bolster all the way up to the front end of the mat, out of the way. So taking a straddle pose. Again, I want to be a little bit leaning forwards into that, so on the front edge more of the sitting bone. And taking the feet out a comfortable distance. If you, like me, have got a hard floor surface underneath your heels, you can either put a blanket underneath, or you can turn sideways and then have your feet on the mat and your bum together. To take a little breath, we'll go out towards the, twisting towards the right leg to start with. So I'm going to sort of over twist into that to start with, just stretching around. And then I'm going to take the hands either side of that front leg. So hopefully we've got the knee and the heart somewhat in line with each other, but not essentially. And I can sort of twist yourself around to get there. Just that's where hopefully we could use as a marker. And then we're going to let ourselves fold down. We're going to use the hands to steady ourselves because this is going to be strong in the back of the hamstring. So the stretch is really coming from the fact that the tendons are very tight and the hamstrings together. We'll let the head hang and just think. Now you're not trying to get to a point where it doesn't feel like your body is rolling off to the side too much. So the chest actually feels relatively square to the floor, given the position we're in. And I can feel quite a high sort of area of intensity in my lower back on my left side and twisting towards the right. There's some interesting lower back muscles down there that we're just working into. Because we've got the hands on the floor, we can sort of regulate how much weight we're taking in. It's safe for the discs as long as we take slow movements. And if there's any possibility, just sink in, we'll let the body fold deeper into the pose. So using the exhale and pressing into the hands, moving up very slowly. And I'm just going to turn the spine back so I'm facing straight down the center line of the mat. I'm sitting up a little bit. I'm going to put the hands behind and let the chest open out. And then start to bring myself back up. I'll twist in towards the left leg. So again, just rotating around a little more. And then I will be when I actually fold down. And then bringing the hands either side. And folding in gently. Just trying to allow the whole body to relax. Requires in my body anyway, me to practice sort of scanning around body part by body part, looping back around a circle that's becoming familiar to me. I'm just running through that multiple times to see where I'm unintentionally holding and that I maybe become concentrate onto those areas and let them release a little more and see if I can make things different from that point of view. And slowly bring ourselves up from there. And back in. Going to move up onto all fours or cat cow and becoming a little bit more focused for a few minutes into some of the movements here. So taking cat cow, I'm going to mix cat cow and pelvis pose together. Starting to draw the chest forward slightly, rolling the shoulders back and the tailbone up, belly drawn in. And then tilting the pelvis to allow the spine to rise up towards the side of the head drop, and pressing into your hands a little more. So let's take 3 slow rounds like that. And then as I exhale up, I'm going to actually sit the bottom down onto the heels, and then let the elbows come to the ground, body rests on the side, forehead comes to the ground. Take a breath here, and then press lightly into the chin, letting myself move back up through a very rounded spine, and then taking the chest forward again, that first part of cat-cow. And then stretching back into cat. And putting into child's pose very slowly, so it's nice and easy for the knees. Listen up when your exhale starts to happen. And we'll go back again. I'll let my hands come right into the front of the mat, tuck toes underneath, lift the knees away from the ground, into down dog. So sort of moving from plank slowly up. And the fingers out a little bit more towards the side edge, so my armpits roll inwards. And working broad across the back of the shoulders. The feet are about hip distance apart. Heels are off the ground. And just letting myself sort of sink backwards whilst lifting the hips high. Take a last breath here. And then on the exhale, ease the knees down to the floor. I'm going to take them wide as they come lower to the ground. Untuck the toes so that I can sit back onto the heels, coming into child's pose again. And leave the arms out nice and wide in front of me. Try and relax the shoulders, the back, the hips, the glutes, and belly. Take it into a side bend. And moving the hands over towards the right side, keeping them nice and wide again. I'm letting the ribs sit actually on top of your spine, or as close as I can, practically. So it does depend on, how far you can take the knees out to the side and how far you can laterally bend into your spine. So if you're not actually sitting on top of your spine, that's fine. As long as you can feel comfortable and relax your shoulders. And breathe mostly into that left side of the rib cage. And then release the head. And move the hands over to the opposite side. Lift up and come to the front of the mat again. Lifting up onto all fours, bringing the knees underneath the hip. And then I'm going to take my right foot to the outside of my right hand. So you want your hands at least as wide as your shoulders, if not a little wider. I'm going to turn the foot out to the side edge as well. I'm going to put the toe of the back foot underneath and then walk my left knee as far away as I possibly can. And then see if I can come down onto the elbows onto the floor. Now, if that isn't possible, you could grab your bolster and ease your forearms down. So you're not quite so low, but you're getting the opportunity to relax the hips down to the ground. We only want to be here for a minute. So try and relax into the shoulders. See if we can get a nice long body rather than a rounded spine. So letting ourselves sink. There is a sensation of sort of rolling off to the sides in my body. I'm not sure if everyone experiences that the same way. But that's what's happening when I try and let go of everything. It can be sometimes a little of a pinch point on the kneecap, on the rear leg. So again, sometimes having a small blanket folded over a couple of times can just give you that extra bit of comfort that you need on some of the edges of the bones that dig in. We'll take a little rest from here. We're going to let ourselves lift up. Then we won't stay in there for too long. I can move the bolster ahead so that I can retrieve myself out of the posture. And again, you might need to take a sort of 30-second breather in all fours, just gently moving the hips around or even being still to make sure everything feels like it's sort of slotted back into place. And then we'll take the opposite leg out. Again, just walk in the rear foot away, starting to let yourself drop in. Bring the bolster into place, your elbows to the floor, and it doesn't matter if you do it differently one side to the other in your body. If that's what your body does, that's great. That's finding where you can move to, not that you have to specifically do anything. One of the things that I really like about yin practice is you can't really do the postures wrong. It is what it is. And then I'm going to let myself lift up from there as well. Yeah, and just taking a little time to take it out. And then when you're ready, I'm going to build myself a little bit of a ramp. So towards the back of my mat, again, just so it's easier for me to watch the clock. I take the brick back towards the back of the mat and then put the block over it at an angle so it's nicely supported. You can play around with the angle a little bit. You could even have two bricks under there if you wanted to. Just friction on how high or low you have to go. When you put the bolster on, you want to put it onto the end of the block so it's not hanging over the edge and it's well supported. And if you've got a bolster where you can paddle it down a little bit and make the end a little flatter rather than rounder, good thing. You want to have a good decent distance between your bottom and the bolster. So usually sort of the length of your hand to your wrist. So for a middle finger to the wrist joint as a sort of a way of going, yeah, that's about right. Not an exact science, I have to say, so something to work with. Now, I'll take the hinder feet wide, as long as the feet flat to the floor. I'm trying to have the knees knock in a little bit, so turning the toes inward. And I begin to let myself rest my spine down onto the bolster, keeping the chin in towards my chest as I come down, taking the weight out of my shoulders from my spine, and my back muscles, my abdominal muscles all doing some work. And I want to see if I can lay my head onto the bolster rather than hanging off the end. Want the arms out to the side, so with a bit of like elbows on the ground, but at least the wrists there. Now, if it feels like it's compressing your lower back, you actually want to just press into your feet a little bit, press into your spine a little bit, and tuck your tailbone forward so you can rest a little bit more onto the back of the pelvis rather than the end of your coccyx. And we'll close our eyes and soften the jaw, let the knees rock in if possible, as we said. Don't have to touch, sort of rather coming inwards rather than rocking out to the side is what we're looking for. And then we'll be here for a few minutes. This is our inclined Savasana. And to start coming out of this, first of all, breathe a little deeper and wriggle the fingers and toes. We're starting to connect the nervous system back up gently. Being a little bit more aware of our position in the room and on the mat. And let the wrists and ankles start to move a little bit as well, just for a few seconds. And it kind of completes the integration of nervous system and mind. I'll stretch out from there in any way that feels good to you. And come off of the bolsters. It's quite specific. I'm going to move over to my right side. So I'm going to draw the feet in a little closer and start to then let the legs rock over towards the right side. Once that's happened and they're down in a comfortable position, I'm going to let the right arm move out to the side and slide down off of the bolster, hopefully without too much of a thud, gently onto my shoulder and then roll onto my side completely. Bring the hands underneath and then press away so it's nice and smooth. I don't have to worry about moving the bolster out of the way or anything like that. And hopefully I can sit up feeling untroubled by the fact that I have dismounted myself from the front. We'll sit up nice and tall. I'll bring the hands in towards our heart. Take a longer breath here. Eyes are closed. Begin to slowly exhale, letting the chin drop. And feeling the belly drawn to the spine, simply follow that bow to the floor, feeling our practice for this evening. On the inhale, let the spine build with the breath. And when it feels easy, let the head lift, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hope you enjoyed. See you on the mat again soon.